Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Pick Six. I'm your host Mike Wobschall inside the field house at TCO Performance Center, where right behind me the Vikings are going to get set for the Detroit Lions later this week. In the meantime though, we have to get to work and answer your questions. Thanks for submitting them. Let's get to work. Question number one comes from Ray in Oregon. Amazing what can happen when you run the ball, control the clock and the line of scrimmage and get just enough from your QB. How about some love for the much criticized offensive line? Great team win in all three phases. No doubt about it, Ray, it was a complete team victory. How about the special teams? 70-yard punt return by Marcus Sherrills, a non-existent return game for the Dolphins. Dan Bailey made all of his kicks, and it was a really good performance by the Vikings offense with 41 points. 40 rushing attempts, about 5.5 yards per carry, only 2 sacks allowed, and a 6.5 minute advantage in time of possession. Bravo, Vikings offensive line. That's why Mike Zimmer gave them the game ball. Question number two comes from Dan. If you think about it, defense was lights out again. Miami scored 17 points, but the 2 TDs came via a pick six and a long run. The only drive of consequence came at the end of the first half, resulting in a field goal. Yes, that's right, the Vikings flexed their red zone defense muscles once again. They held the Dolphins to 0 of 1 in the red zone and 0 of 1 on the goal line. Also, Miami just 2 of 12 on third downs. The Vikings' #1 third down defense looked the part. So it was a very good performance for the Vikings defense. They also, by the way, had 9 sacks. So the pass rush was all over Ryan Tannehill. A few things to clean up in the running game. We didn't like that 75-yard touchdown run. Clean those things up, and this Vikings defense is going to be nearly impossible to score on. Next question comes from Demarius. Do you think Kirk Cousins can play better with the new offensive coordinator? Well, I think Kirk played pretty well with John DeFilippo here, but I also think he can play well with interim offensive coordinator Kevin Stefanski, who was the quarterback's coach before being named to his new post. So he knows Cousins better than anyone. But I say this from time to time, and we have to remember it. It's not all about the quarterback. The Vikings have to play well around the quarterback. They did that against the Dolphins. Only 2 sacks allowed, over 5 yards per carry. Receivers caught all the passes. When the Vikings play well around the quarterback's going to look really good. Our next question comes from David in Rochester. Only 2 targets for Thielen. Hope that's not a sign of things to come in the last 2 games of the regular season. Take it easy, David. My man Adam Thielen, yeah, he had 2 catches on 2 targets, but we ran the ball 40 times and we got a bunch of other receivers involved in the game. If teams are going to overcompensate on a receiver like the Dolphins did with Thielen, then other guys are going to benefit. And eventually defenses are going to have to get spread out, and that's where Thielen is going to become dangerous again. Adam Thielen, over 100 catches already on the season. Stephon Diggs got over 90 against the Dolphins, giving the Vikings a pair of 90-catch receivers for the first time in team history. The next question comes from Dustin. Seeing what Holton Hill is doing with his chances has me excited to see him and Mike Hughes develop moving forward. No doubt the Vikings have gotten solid contributions from their rookie class. Mike Hughes was off to a dynamite start before his injury, and I agree with Dustin that Holton Hill is playing well. He almost had another interception against Miami. How about a pair of other rookies who played well against the Dolphins? Tyler Conklin, the tight end, who led the Vikings in receiving yards with 53 against Miami, and Brian O'Neill continues to hold it down on the right side of the Vikings offensive line. Our last question comes from Mike in Goodwin, South Dakota. What do you see as the key to getting the 6th seed? We may not need to win out, but winning out assures us that spot. That's right, Mike. Winning out is the key. Yes, we can get in without winning out, but here's the deal. If we win out, we might even get to the number 5 seed. The Seattle Seahawks are a half a game ahead of the Vikings. If they drop one of their next 2 games and the Vikings win out, the Vikings can get up to number 5. Hey, look, there's going to be a lot of scoreboard watching to do over the final 2 weeks, and that is fun to do. We can root against some of the NFC contenders, but the bottom line is the Vikings got to win their games, and the rest will take care of itself. That's it for this week's edition of the Pick Six. Thank you for watching. Thank you for submitting your questions. Stay tuned to Vikings.com the rest of the week as we get you ready for the Detroit Lions, and continue to submit your questions into the email address at the bottom of the screen. I answer every single one, and some of the best ones make it on the Pick Six. See you next week.